Good evening and welcome to tonight's Hearthstone half hour. I'm Hammy, this is FailCraft Casts. Hope you're well this Monday evening. No streams, no videos for a week. Sorry about that, I was away on work. Happily back now, so let's dive in without further ado to today's episode. We are coming back to New Player Mondays. On New Player Mondays, we generally do a deck garage, deck tech, deck guide thing where we jump into a deck that we've been seeing a bit of in the Hearthstone metagame, get under the hood of it, see how it works, and then once we've built it up, we take it into a few casual games or maybe even a few ranked games to see how it performs. So, recently we have seen a player called Dark Lumia. Now, Dark Lumia, well worth checking out if you play Hunter. He is originally a World of Warcraft Hunter in sort of a big raiding guild, and then jumped into Hearthstone and actually took his favourite class across. So he's played a lot of Hunter, legended a few times with it. You will see his deck list kicking around sites such as Hearthpawn and others. So if you like playing Hunter, want to get a few of the finer Hunter class points across, you could do a lot worse than check him out. So that is first up where this is from. Good evening, Kazumi Yagami, Lurd, Tilizard. It is great to have you all here. Amongst the chat live viewers, but a few. So let's jump straight in. So Hunter, we're in Season 3. I'll be honest with you, I need to push on in Season 3 a bit more, but this Hunter deck that we're about to have a look at has done well in terms of the fact that it has really pushed itself up, and Dark Lumia has used it to cover the top 5 or 4 ranks, I believe, and get himself into Legends. So he has proved that Hunter, even after the change to Unleash The Hounds, such a key core Hunter card, is very much alive and well. So, Hunter has gone up, Hunter has come down. People have said, oh, it's not effective, but Dark Lumia has proved that it is. So we're going to take a look at his version of the deck, see what it does well, fine tweaks around it that will mean that it can work. We've previously covered rushing Hunter decks here on FailCraft Casts and on the Hearthstone half hour, but because it's Season 3, ranked Season 3, I just thought it would be nice to ease ourselves back in by taking a quick look at some of the Hunter core concepts for those of you who haven't played Hunter before, and then also what makes this Hunter deck pretty good in the high ranks. A part of that will be metagame and the different kind of decks we play against. So firstly we will build this deck as we always do on this show. We will then go through it and see what is good about it, and then finally we'll try it out in a couple of games. So let us not waste any time whatsoever in finding a bow and arrow would be good for a Hunter. There we go, first starting point. First up we have in Dark Lumia's deck. Ooh, right click on a card to take a closer look. I need to make a new deck. Let us call this the Hunter, and without further adieus, let's give it a name. Is it Dark Luminia? Dark Lumia, Dark Light, if Lumia has something to do with light. First up, 2 Hunter's Marks. Now 2 Hunter's Marks, what does that let you do? Change your minion's health to 1. I think it's fairly obvious, but for those of you who are new, this lets you drop down a minion to just 1 health. Why is that good? Well, think of a big 8/8 giant, some big scary monster, Ragnaros, legendary, something with loads of health. Not only can you drop that to 1, you can then probably trade it with a minion or similar. So that is a control card that will let you remove big enemy minion threats. Why 2? A good point. Some decks in the past used to run 1. Well, if you're playing against decks that have a lot of big minions, you might want 2 of these rather than 1. So simple. That's a very good example of a very solid card that will be part of a Hunter deck. And as you play at different stages of the ladder, just a quick point, you'll find that the decks you'll play from 25 to 20 might be very different from 20 to 10. 20 to 10 might be very, very different from 10 to 5. You have almost different metagames, this concept of a different set of decks that is popular or performs well at different sections of the ladder. How can you find out what those are every season? Well, to a degree, you can only do that by playing your way up, but you can also look at sites such as, I very much recommend Liquid Hearth, Hearthhead, Hearthpawn. It will change between Europe and North America. I'm sure that Asia is also different. So not only do you get variations in this popular decks by level of ladder, in terms of different geographical areas, you can also get different decks that are popular in terms of how high or how low you are on the ladder at that particular time. So any deck that we show you, just as a little caveat, it may not be immediately the best or the most strongest for where you are on the ladder at the time, but what it will give you a good sense of is how that deck plays. So Hunter's Mark. Ooh, a little funny noise. I should probably try and click on my screen rather than click on XSplit. My apologies for that. Next up we have a Flare. Now Flare, good uses for this. Well, for starters, it just draws a card for 1 mana. That's never a bad thing. Card drawing card games is good, as we've said multiple times. However, what Flare will let you do, you can remove minions with stealth. There are decks such as aggro decks, such as if you're playing a Miracle Rogue and they have stealth, their gadgets and auctioneer, their big card draw card. If you're playing against an aggressive Paladin who is using stealth warguns and similar such things such as that, there are plenty of reasons that you will want to remove stealth. And even then, destroying all enemy secrets. Almost a 3 for the price of 1 this card, depending on what deck you play against and how you play it. Destroying all enemy secrets. If I'm playing a hunter, a fellow hunter, if I'm in a mirror match, I can get rid of explosive traps. If I'm playing a paladin, there might be a noble sacrifice, that really pesky card, which means whenever you attack, a 2/1 defender is summoned. So if I'm playing, many options, mages as well, of course, a secret playing class. So removing secrets, taking stealth off minions, and drawing a card, you might do all 3 of those in one go against a particular deck. So one of those is definitely not a bad thing. In a very secret heavy metagame, maybe you got with 2, but 1 is a pretty solid option. So let's find the Timbre Wolf, popular in rushing hunter decks, giving your other beasts 1 attack. For that, just 1 mana. Hunters decks have lots of beasts in. What does Timbre Wolf do? It makes all of your beasts more dangerous. Playing this card at the right time is quite key. You generally want to play it when you've got a lot of beasts on the table, not when you don't really want to play it on its own. It's got low health, it will get picked off the table by your opponent pretty quick because of the amount of beasts you have, because of how you want to do damage. 2 of those makes a bunch of sense. Tracking, I've got a couple of golden trackings. Tracking is deck acceleration. By deck acceleration, we've covered that in a previous Hearthstone half hour. I think it's about episode 50 or so. Try check it out. Deck acceleration is anything that helps you get your deck moving more quickly, helps you as a player get towards whatever goal that your deck has. Just someone complaining of lag. We'll see what happens. So look at the top 3 cards of your deck, draw 1, discard 2. That thins your deck out, means that you have got more chance of drawing whatever else there is in the top of your deck. However, there may be a problem, of course, you're having to discard cards. So there are benefits and drawbacks to this card. Playing it correctly is key. If you have 3 good cards that you look at on the top 3 cards of your deck and you have to discard 2 of those, then you've got to choose very, very carefully what you want. But it's draw power, it thins out your deck, meaning that you're getting through your deck more quickly. It may help you get what you need more quickly, and for that reason, tracking is an excellent card. Explosive Trap. 2 of those. When your hero is attacked, deal 2 damage to all enemies. Well, not only does this deal damage to your enemy hero, but it will also deal damage to all enemy minions on the board. What does that help with? If you're playing a Zoo Warlock, anything that is rushing you with lots of small, low health minions, dropping the Explosive Trap, if your opponent attacks your hero, then suddenly you wipe their entire board clean. A lot of Zoo decks, for example, have 2 health or less minions. So Explosive Trap is clearance, is defense, is very, very solid. It helps you against anything trying to rush you to the face. For that reason, 2 come in. Now, interestingly, and this is one of those choices which you can see is very much a higher ladder choice, or useful in a higher sort of section of the ladder, or perhaps more competitive games. 2 Freezing Traps. Now, Freezing Trap is something that was originally not in the original Hunter Rush decks, because you were just really going so quickly to try and kill your opponent's hero as quickly as possible. You weren't going to get into a situation so often where Freezing Trap would be useful. However, now you can see almost 2 here, and this is a higher game choice. If I found playing, at the moment I'm only ranked 16, 15, if I found that I was having trouble doing enough damage or trouble dealing with earlier game decks, I would drop one of these Freezing Traps, because Dark Lumia is playing at ranks 3-2 legend. He's seeing more as in that section of the ladder. He's seeing more of certain kinds of deck, the bigger minion decks. That's where Freezing Trap comes in. So when an enemy minion attacks, return it to its owner's hand, and it costs 2 more. Let's say a Giant has been dropped. Let's say a Ragnaros has been dropped. Let's say a 9 mana Alexstrasza or Ysera, for example, has been dropped. Suddenly that minion costs 2 more. It's going to be a lot harder to play, or has to be played again next turn. Or it may even cost 11 mana. It may cost more than the mana that you actually have. So Freezing Trap helps you slow down big game minions and really helps defend against your opponent for a couple more turns. So I'm going to start with 2. It might be that we actually drop a 3 of those, and perhaps 1, for example, depending on how we find this play in the earlier game. Misdirection next up. When a character attacks your hero instead he attacks another random character. This has always been in Hunter decks. Again, if a big minion tries to hit me, suddenly he's sacrificing himself on another one of his own minions, he's sacrificing himself on one of my minions, or best case scenario, imagine if you see a giant attack you, and instead of attacking your hero, instead he turns around and hits your opponent straight for 8 in the face. That is the power of misdirection. It is defense, it is keeping your minions up, it is keeping damage off your hero, and depending on when you play it, your opponent has to very carefully try and play around it. The Buzzard, a core of hunters. Whenever you summon a beast, draw a card. Ideally, you want to summon a lot of beasts after you play the Buzzard, so you draw a lot of cards. pretty simple. A core part of Hunter combinations. That goes very well with, I'm going to jump ahead in the deck list that we're looking at, just to pick this out for the obvious. Unleash the Hounds. Say my opponent has so many minions on the table, and I drop a Buzzard, and then I drop Unleash the Hounds. My opponent's got 4 minions, suddenly I have 4 hounds on the table, and after the Buzzard I draw 4 cards. So for you guys looking at combos, for you guys looking at Hunter core mechanics, Starving Buzzard into Unleash the Hounds. Unleash the Hounds has been up and down in the amount of mana that it costs a lot over the last few seasons. So people have recently seen it increased to 3 and said, oh, Hunter decks are dead. Hunter decks are not dead in any way, shape or form. It just changes how you play this card a little bit, and changes how people play against the Hunter deck too. So we'll drop into Unleash the Hounds there. Eaglehorn Bow. Eaglehorn Bow, whenever a secret is revealed, gain 2 durability. It lets you use your Hunter's health as a resource to pick off nasty minions. Let's say I need to get past a tanking minion in a zoo deck. Let's say I'm a little bit concerned about a fellow Hunter's Timberwolf or Starving Buzzard or something. It lets me reach out with my Hunter and take out threats as and when I need. And then if there are no threats for me to deal with, Eaglehorn Bow just lets me do some damage to my opposing hero's face. After all, I want to be killing my opposing hero as quickly as possible. And then last but not least, the ever-present kill command. A great thing about Hunter decks, you can see as we skim through these, you can see how many of these are actually basic cards. So you can just play a Hunter up to level 15, 20 and earn so many of these cards. Kill command is a great example of such a card. 3 damage, direct to whatever you choose, but if you have a beast, then you are dealing not 3 but 5. What will that let you do? It will let you pick off nasty opposing minions, 5 damage to a minion, very, very nice, as well as 5 damage straight to your hero. That is almost an execute. It's almost a kill condition, win condition, a lethal, as people say. Kill he commanded. Does exactly what it says on the tin. An essential Hunter card, and that's why we drop it in. So that's us through all of the Hunter cards, right? So we're going to top up with the usual sort of rush favourites. The Abusive Sergeant, give a minion 2 attack this turn. Suddenly one of my little minions now has 2 more attack. 1 mana, cheap drop. Nothing much to say. If it stays on the table for a turn, it can suddenly do 2 damage to something, probably before it dies, for that very low 1 health. You see Abusive Sergeants in Zoo, Warlock, you see in a lot of Hunter decks. It's always been a rush staple. The Leponome, not only does it do 2 damage if it stays on the table for a turn, but just whenever it gets killed, unless it gets silenced, it's doing an additional 2. So that's almost a 2 for the price of 1. But here it's 4 damage for the price of 2, 1 mana. Ludicrously efficient if you get that down in the early game and hitting your opponent hard. And that's not the arcane I was looking for. This is not the droid I was looking for. I want an arcane golem. An arcane golem, not an arcane shot. 2 of those, right? Charging in, the battle cry, give your opponent a mana crystal. So that is a, oh yes, it is great for the absolute mana it cost. It has 4 attack, charge, wonderful, I can do lots of damage. However, it's got that downside of accelerating your opponent, giving them another mana crystal. It's like the druid but in reverse. It will get your opponent further ahead in the game. So you're really dropping the arcane golem as a finisher. It's going to be dropping out there when you're coming in and looking to swing for the win or thereabouts, or in a real pinch situation where you have to get something off the table. Again, pretty simple. Nothing, as Dark Gloomier says in his recent evaluation of this deck, there is nothing too fancy about this Hunter deck. 2 Wolf Rider, charge, 3 attack, 1 health. For the 3 mana, it's going to come in, it's going to do 3 damage, it's going to die afterwards. That's what Wolf Rider's point is. Ideally, you are dropping this in a situation where you can do that 3 damage to the enemy hero, but there may be a situation where you need to use it to remove a tank, remove a dangerous enemy minion, or something similar. So, a utility card, but for its cheap mana and its charge ability, you want to be ideally swinging that to someone's face. And then last but not least, we have a Leroy Jenkins for all you World of Warcrafters out there. But if you're a Hearthstone owner and you're not familiar with Leroy, what does Leroy do? He gives, with that battle cry, he's got the downside. Your opponent's got 2 1/1 whelps next turn who will be able to kill Leroy unless you can kill the whelps. But he can then charge in for 6. Leroy is coming in to finish off your opponent, much like the Arcane Golem, or he may be coming in to pick off a key tank or something else to let the rest of your board do its dirty work. So that is our deck. We can take a look at Dark Lumier's deck list there. I'm just going to screenshot it and put it up so we can have it in our column. Part 2 of our Hearthstone half hour, as we always do, is jump on into a couple of games and see how this deck actually works. Now bear in mind I'm low on the ladder, so this deck has a few different options, as we have already seen, that try to really optimize it for slightly high level play. The Freezing Trap was an example of such, so let's call it Dark Lumia Hunter Season 3. Splendid stuff, and just for your reference, as the Oscar judges would say in the world of film, for your consideration, let us pull up this slightly shrunken deck list and whap it on our right column. Now, you know what, because I'm low in the ladder, I would normally say to you at this point, part 3 of the Hearthstone half hour for these kind of new play Mondays, we jump in and play it just in casual mode to see how it runs. Because I'm pretty low in the ladder at this point in time, there's not really much for me to lose. Let us throw ourselves in and just get straight on in to see how this performs in a ladder context. So, we did say that we would just chat a bit about how this is optimised for maybe a higher level of ladder play. That Freezing Trap, I think, is the key example. It will mean that you can really slow down anyone throwing big minions at you. So ramp decks, for example, the more handlock warlock decks that we've seen. Okay, first hand, right, want a Freezing Trap. I'm playing a warrior. He could be a control warrior, he could be aggro. I don't know what he's going to do. I'm going to go for a full mulligan because I would like some more aggressive early game options. We will soon see if we're playing a control warrior, not a good matchup for me. He will very much try and remove everything. I will need to do damage early as possible. But you can see that I've actually drawn into a very nice hand one there. I could track, but instead there's nothing wrong with me just throwing down a leper gnome and saying, right, come at me bro, show me what you've got. So with this deck, it's not too much of a rocket science. What we want to do is put a lot of early pressure on. Fury War Axe comes straight out. He's going to go straight probably for the control play. And you know what? I do my damage there. He gets his axe out. He's probably playing control warrior. He will probably want to remove more of my stuff off the table. Do I want to tracking for anything? I could just lay a solid 2 damage down on him, but a tracking would help me accelerate into something at this point in time. What would I be tracking for? This is the question. I could throw down another 1-drop minion to get some pressure on, or I can just simply do 2 damage and wait for his next move. Now, in high-level plays of this Hunter deck, it's choices like that in this early game which will determine my success or failure. I've not played huge amounts of Hunter, I've done a bit of rushing, but let's see what he comes out with. Note that he saves the axe and armours up. What he is wanting is for me to just simply show my next move. I need to get some control of the board, so I'm now going to go into a tracking. What can we have? We've got a Freezing Trap. He's not controlling me, I know this. The Arcane Golem will let me start doing more damage to his face nice and quick. I don't think I need the Freezing Trap because he will probably come at me with things later in the game. At this point in the game I don't quite need that. The Hunter's Mark will help me remove bigger minions, so I'm actually going to keep the Golem, and then I'm just going to put another 2 damage down. Let's keep the pressure on his armour. Okie, so we're coming into turn 4. The Eaglehorn Bro, if I can drop a secret, will help me out. There goes down the Frothing Berserker. It would be nice for me to remove that. I'm not going to Unleash the Hounds at this point in time. The Hunter's Mark will actually let me remove that quite nicely. So the Arcane Golem will let me rush in and put some more pressure on his hero. Unleash the Hounds I will only do if he's got a lot of minions down there. I might quite like to remove that Berserker, and with the Eaglehorn Bow and Hunter's Mark, that will let me get rid of it before it becomes a threat. However, it will then leave me with 1 mana that I can't really do a huge amount with. I would quite like a Starving Buzzard. That would set me up quite nicely. What I want to be doing really is doing damage to his face and keeping the pressure on back. So the Arcane Golem at this point will be a real acceleration of the stakes and see if he wants to go for the trade. Just tossing up the different options. Okay, well the Eaglehorn will let me put a control play in. I'm going to go for the slightly safer option. Those can get very nasty very fast. Let's drop the Eaglehorn down and let's just remove that off the deck. Next up, I'm just going to throw in a tracking to accelerate myself into setting that Kill Command, another Eaglehorn. The Kill Command will let me remove a big minion. I think I'm going to keep the Kill Command because I will be dropping beasts. Okay, so Control Warrior is a tougher matchup for this deck. You can see a Corcoran Elite, okay, he could still be aggro, but what my Kill Command will now let me do is remove that as well. So a Freezing Trap would let me just hit it straight to the face. I can keep the Kill Command for a bit of aggro. If he really wants to head me into the face, he could then drop that down and charge me again. I think I just want to get that removed from the equation. So I'm just going to drop this down. Let's drop that off. Now you may think, well, why am I not attacking him immediately with my bow? If I throw down the Freezing Trap at the right time, that will mean that I can effectively negate one of his big minion threats. I'm expecting, because note that he's not really played much. If he was a real aggro warrior, we would have seen a lot more cheaper minions in the early game. I've seen the axe come out turn 1. He went for a very aggressive control. And a Nightblade drop. Okay, interesting. He could still be aggro at this stage. But what I can do is very much slow him down. A Timberwolf would let me put some more pressure on. What are my options? I don't really want to leave this here, but if we keep playing a control game, the warrior will get the better of me in the long run. So options, I can throw down a golem just for the direct trade. That would work okay. I don't really want to unleash the hounds without my buzzard because I need more card draw. So I'm going to throw this down, get a freezing trap just in case anything shows up. And I'm actually just going to go... I can aggro in, he could then go for the trade, or he could attack my hero. That will then mean that he can drop this down again, but it will slow him up a turn. So I'm actually just going to go for the direct face play and see how that works out for us. He's not going to be dropping stealth minions. He's not going to be dropping any secrets. So with my 1 mana left, I'm actually going to throw down my flare, and the sole reason I'm playing that is for the card draw. And we then draw into the Leper Gnome, so that gives me some additional card play pressure. With this deck, while we're watching it, one of the big decisions key plays, what are the differences between weakness and victory, strength and defeat? Your options are multiple. So there we go, there's the freezing trap, that will return it to his hand, but he can then, note, just play that straight again onto the table if he wants to. It will, however, cost him a bunch of mana. And there we go, the Weaponsmith, a Tauren warrior, puts up a tanking taunt, which I now have an additional durability on my Eaglehorn bow. There is a question from the chat, is there a deck like aggro for Hunter? There very much is. It's not quite this aggressive, but there's a really aggressive version that I can show you, or can link you to from a previous version. This version gives you a little bit more late game-ness. However, I then have a nice Unleash the Hounds coming right up. So we now have a tank. We can see that I can use my Eaglehorn bow as a resource to get past this tank. I can take 2 on my Hunter. So we have a rush play here. So first up, Unleash the Hounds. Note how that drops the pressure down. Very nice. Note that also these both have charge. I don't want to be charging these in to remove this tank. Note that I can then drop the Timberwolf, so all my other beasts have got 1 attack. More pressure. And then with my 3 remaining mana, I've got 2 options. I can drop a Leper Gnome and an Abusive Sergeant, or I can Steady Shot for 2 damage. So to get the minion control on the board, he could whirlwind me, of course. So I'm going to Leper Gnome. I'm then going to Abusive Sergeant, and then with my 3 damage, I'm actually going to step up and remove that tank. What does this let me do? Well, I can control the table, or I can just rush him to the face and see what he does. I'm going to put the pressure on face and see what he does now. So I have a lethal next turn in a variety of ways. He needs to play a Whirlwind. If he does play a Whirlwind as a control warrior, this will zap a lot of the stuff off the table. First thing up, he takes away the Timberwolf. Good play, because that removes 1 damage from the rest. The Arathi Weaponsmith then removes another one of my team, and do you know what? That is a win. He cannot remove everything. That was more of an aggressive weapons warrior. So just to make sure I make this play right, be very careful that you don't misplay at this stage, and there's the win. So lovely play. Good game. That, I think, was a nice example of how just this deck in a basic way can work. What did we do? We probably made a few iffy decisions here and there with regards to when to attack and when to actually sit back and trade. And in terms of this very, very aggressive kind of deck style, this deck, no, the Hunter deck is very aggressive anyway. So in terms of the chat question from Eulid, is there a deck like aggro or Zoo for Hunter? There is. But you can have versions that are even more early game focused. They will just go for total broke. So let's have another look at this. We're going to go against a Paladin. There have been some very popular aggressive Paladin. You can see aggressive Paladin and control Paladin variants. So what do I expect? I expect he might throw a lot of minions down in the early game if he's playing an aggro Paladin. He might try and keep me under control. He'll be trying to rush me like I'm trying to rush him. So what do I want to try and keep? Well, the Eaglehorn bow is good for removing early game Paladin minions. I can trade back the Leroy. The Starving Buzzard, if he swarms, that could be useful. But I'm going to drop that away to see if I get some more direct control. I do not want him to be overwhelming me. And you know what? That's quite a nice draw. I'm quite happy with that. Not only am I going second, I get a coin. I've got a Wolf Rider so I can charge and trade. The Eaglehorn bow is good to keep. and here we see him throw out just a standard Paladin. So what does the aggressive Paladin variant do? I don't know what my opponent is playing yet, but I know that aggro Paladins are popular. They throw out lots of little minions, they buff them up with big abilities and do similar such strong plays. In the late game they'll then use big cards. They might pull out the legendary Tyrion Forthering. They might pull out Avenging Wrath, which does 8 damage over random targets, for example. So they then keep the control in the early game and then swing out in the late game with some big finishes. There are some more direct control variants, but we'll go into those. So I am turn 1. What can I do? Well, a bubble will get removed from that. Really, I think just dropping my Leponome, saving that coin for the early game is good. I do have an interesting play here in that I can coin into a Wolf Rider to hit him in the face, or the Arcane Golem. Blessing of Might, there we go. A nasty, nasty play, and we can see that this aggro Paladin coming in. Aggro Paladins aren't that popular. I only ran into about 9 of the 10 games I played today. Says CJ's from the chat. Why are they popular? Well, you know, they are cheap to make, which makes them pretty popular with a lot of people. Now we can tell. How could we tell this guy's playing an aggro Paladin if we didn't know already? Well, not only has he buffed his minion turn 2, but he's also just hit me straight in the face. He is not concerned about this Leponome. What he is concerned about is making sure that I get damage to my face as quickly as possible. So I have options. The kill command is almost a bit of a waste of 1 because I can do bigger damage with that in the later game, but I don't want to leave that minion there. So I've actually been forced early on by this Paladin into a position where I need to control this minion. I don't want to leave that there in the long term. As a result, I'm going to coin in. This is not damage to the hero, which I dislike. However, what it will let me do is I can just charge in. Let's get that off the table nice and early. Because I have a Leponome, I at least get 2 damage on him. I've used my coin. I've had to play so aggressively there. But you know what? What happens next turn if this Argent Squire suddenly becomes a 7-1, after a 4-1? Then suddenly I'm almost half health. I do need to use my hero's health as a resource. So this will be an interesting game. 2 very aggressive similar decks. He's just summoned that up. He's got nothing to follow that up, so at least I've got a turn to think of what I'm going to do. So I actually think that my nice next play here is probably the Eaglehorn Bow. Now, I need to get minions down and put damage on him, but I also need to make sure that I don't leave his tokens. Now, you'll hear people talk about token druids, token paladins and similar. I don't want to leave those 1/1s, those small minions, on the table, because as you've just seen, those small minions in any token or aggro deck such as this can become dangerous oh so quickly. Right, another reason that aggro Paladin is so popular and so good, that True Silver Champion is a basic card. Look at it, 4 attack, 2 durability, 4 mana, and heals 2 as well. And you can see not only has he done me damage to the face, but he's also put pressure on me at the same time. Right, so am I low on health? Yes. Is he healing himself? Yes. Do I want to drop the Explosive Trap just yet? No, because I'd like it to remove some of his tokens. That is why the Explosive Trap is good against aggro brush decks. Kill command, I could do 5 to his face. The Arcane Golem will give him more attacking options. The Timberwolf will buff my beasts, of which I have none. So I want to save Timberwolf, Unleash the Hounds for when he's got more minions on the table. That means I'll get more hounds for the more minions that he has. All hail King Ooze. I do love Ooze. The kill command, again, more useful when I have beasts, so you can see my combo coming together here. I don't want to attack with this. The Arcane Golem just hitting him in the face will certainly force him to make some decisions, but I do accelerate his deck. So let's take a risk and drop the Golem. Normally I would drop this Golem as a win condition. It may be that I'll live to regret this, because look, I put him on 6/6 rather than the 5 mana that he would have. So many options. Hammer of Wrath, he can immediately control. I may live to regret this. If I lose this game due to him overwhelming me, this would probably be the pivotal play. Playing that acidic? It's you guys talking about Ooze. The Arcane Golem a turn too early. Okay, so not only do we see him hammer, he's got card draw. I take more damage, but at least that True Silver Champion is gone. So he's a turn ahead of me now. I need to be playing each play Osuke. I do not want to hounds at this moment in time. The kill command will merely just remove something. The wolf, unleashing the hounds, drawing something with charge. The explosive trap I'm now going to throw out as a defensive play. He would probably remove. Let's have a look. Okay, remember that explosive trap is when your hero is attacked. So if he goes for the hero, if I throw down any other beast, he'll probably remove it. Unleash the Hounds is not going to give me full benefit at this point. I just need to lay some damage down and see what he comes up with. So I'm in danger. You can see I'm almost half health. My opponent is a Knife Juggler comes down, another aggro sign, because he can summon another minion that will just do 1 damage straight to my hero. The Elven Archer for that 1 damage for a basic card, straight damage to my hero. Another single chip damage, drops that minion with another chip damage, and a Divine Favour to finish up. Powerful Paladin draw card. Our Paladin is setting up for his win condition, but the Explosive Trap triggers. You can see I then remove everything apart from 1 token. Not only does that then buff me up 1, so at least it keeps me in the game a little bit longer. But I'm having challenges. I need card draw. I need to make sure I power myself up a little bit further. I don't want that getting powered up, so I'm going to drop my Misdirect. I could Unleash the Hounds to put some conditions on the table. I'm going to take a bit of a risk here. This is not optimum in terms of I would rather have more hounds on the table. Let's remove that off the table, and at least it puts me in a slightly more control position. Really what I wanted to be doing is dropping the Unleash the Hounds after I've got a Starving Buzzard on the table. What I'm lacking at the moment, oh so lacking, is card draw and options. It is not a great position we see ourselves in. And part of the problem, oh, Avenging Wrath! That causes pain, and we see that is the finisher of the aggroed in. He's wiped my side of the table. Note that he's not attacked my hero, that's a spell. I do not have a kill option on the table at this point in time. I can do 3, 5, 6 with a Leroy, 9, that sets me up for a lose. I can do 9, I'm not going to be able to finish him in a turn. We can see that I'm in a bit of trouble. I need to get rid of that token. So this could well be a loss. It is not going well for Team FailCraft. Where have I potentially let this go? Let's just take a quick think about that while we wait for the loss. So I was playing another mirror match. What I needed to do is keep him under control whilst chipping away at him. So I've not done enough damage to him in the early game. He has controlled me better, and with that lay on hands, that puts him ever further out of my grasp. And not only does it put him further out of my grasp, he draws 3 cards, so he is oh so well set up for this win now. Remember, I'm not going to be healing. I would need a stupendous set of win condition to get through this now. Chances are I can misdirect. Leroy will just give him additional options to kill me with. So really all I can do is drop that down. I don't know what secret he's got. He could have a Noble Defender, meaning that whenever he drops something on the table, a 2/1 Defender is summoned, so that will just chip me away. So this is potentially a loss. Oh, the Murloc. To add insult to injury, the charging Murloc comes out. He's going to attack himself. We'll then see what secret he has. But he's removed that one. It could be something a lot nastier. And secret? No secret. But of course secrets can only trigger on your opponent's turn. So there we go. He's just going to throw a bunch of other options down. The Blood Knight comes down. Chip damage. That Knife Juggler is so good in any aggressive deck. Not only does reinforcing do another damage, can you see Knife Jugglers have done 4 damage to me, and it is not looking fine, sweet or happy. What can I do to remedy this situation? Well, I can Hunter's Mark a couple down. This is where saving Unleash the Hounds, if I'd saved Unleash the Hounds to this point, maybe I would have had some more options. So I can misdirect, that will save me from one thing. 2 Hunter's Marks the misdirect may cause some trouble, so I can go for a very extreme play. Let's Hunter's Mark twice. Let's throw down a misdirect. Leroy, what can I Leroy? I can Leroy 1 thing off the table. That will then just throw down another 2 things. I can remove one of the big threats. He's probably going to get me regardless. Let's remove one of the single threats, but of course remember that, oh, I should have thought of that. Noble Sacrifice. Defender comes down, I'm just going to commit suicide on him. There we go. So that is a really nasty deck for this rush. You wouldn't see many aggro Dittons, I think, that high in the ladder. If I'd been playing my Control Warrior, maybe that would have been one for the good guys. Absolutely. But there we go. Oh, almost a ding for the Hunter as well there. So there we go. That is tonight's Hearthstone half hour. I'm sorry that it's going to be out just a half hour this evening. A, we're at least keeping with our theme of the deck. But B, just come back from a week-long trip. Of course, I've been at E3 over in America. Absolutely amazing. If you've got any questions on games that I might have seen at E3, let us know. I'll try and answer those on Twitter after the stream. I might be on again later just to quietly stream, as we try to do after every commentated Hearthstone half hour. So if you can't jump in, and if you can't tune in immediately when the stream kicks off, don't worry, because we always put them on YouTube after. So that was taking a quick look at Hunter in Season 3 of Ranked Hearthstone. If you've never played Hunter before, that gives you a really good idea of some of the basics of the class. What are the combos? What are the cool things that can work really, really well in Hunter? We have taken a look at some of them there. And whether you're a brand new Hunter player and you've never played before, you can play a great free-to-play Hunter. I will link some examples in chat just before I go, after we start off the stream. Or whether you're a Hunter looking to further your game. This deck has taken Dark Lumia from rank 3 in the ladder to Legend, so at those upper ends of the ladder it is working oh so well. We've taken a look at the basics. We can see all of the basic cards, and anything that doesn't have one of those little gems in the middle is a basic card that you can just grab anyway. We've taken a look at what works well. We've taken a look at the few refinements. So, for example, how did Freezing Trap help me? Against that rush aggro Paladin that we saw, Freezing Trap wasn't going to help me much. I could have done with more early game options. So maybe if I see a lot of rushing aggro decks, like what we've just seen, I would drop a Freezing Trap and put something else in. A very simple example of tweaking your deck for the kinds of decks that you're playing against. If you're seeing a lot of rush decks, tweak your deck so that you've got more early game options. Freezing Trap is not going to help me against 2-drop and 1-drop minions. We then looked into also a few of the combos. So Unleash the Hounds and Starving Buzzard. If you're going to invest in a rare Hunter card and you want to play Hunter, if you're disenchanting or anything like that, maybe get yourself a few Unleash the Hounds if you're not going for a legendary. And then we saw in game 1 how against that aggro warrior, which is the sort of weapons warrior, how Leroy Jenkins, how the similar charge cards came in. However, against the aggro deck, we saw how me throwing down the Arcane Golem at the wrong time actually just meant that I got my opponent further ahead. So when you're playing aggressive Hunter, it's decisions like that that can make or break your game. Do I throw down an Arcane Golem early on to put some pressure on my opponent, or do I save it to finish off, as indeed was my intention? I gave him more mana, he could very easily get rid of it, and it turns out that the 4 damage I did just counted for nothing. So that could have been a turning point in the game. Okay, so that is Hunter, and not only how it can work for a basic way, but how it's been optimised by Dark Lumia for his higher play in Season 3. Let's just do a last but not least. We always try and, if you're new, we always try and stream a good, maybe 4 or 5 nights a week, Monday through Friday. What the format that we do is Monday we do New Player Monday, like you've just seen, when we break down decks, discuss concepts for newer to intermediate players, and just understand how decks that we've been playing against work, whether they're on the ladder. We build the deck and we take it out for a spin in either casual or ranked mode to see how it works. So new to sort of intermediate player concepts, looking at decks and deck mechanics and heroes and how they work and all similar. Tuesday, if you come back tomorrow night, we do Play Your Own Arena, Pick Your Own Arena, where you guys pick an arena hero for us to play. We then draft it. You guys in the chat pick what hero and arena cards we're going to be playing, so you pick the arena deck for us, and then we take it out for a spin in the arena for a couple of games to see how it performs. That is Arena Tuesday. Wednesday we do ladder. It is pure ladder. Wherever I am in the ladder, whether it's low or high, we're just going to be seeing what's going on in the ladder. I'm going to play a few ladder games, analyse them as I play, also try and analyse the opponent's decks as I play and such similar. So that's Wednesday. Thursday is sort of a tactics Thursday. We'll look at more advanced concepts, whether it's deck acceleration, whether it's refined concepts around particular heroes, more intermediate to advanced player stuff. But if you're a new player, there'll be good stuff for you there too. And then last but not least, Friday, Fun Friday, we will just play Hearthstone for fun, or we will go out there and just play an entirely different game. I would like to be a variety channel in the future. I play a whole bunch of other games apart from Hearthstone, whether we're jumping into StarCraft, other Blizzard games, World of Warcraft or similar, whether we are taking a look at Diablo or League of Legends or a bunch of other PC games, and then I play a lot of 3DS and other PC games too. I also have an Xbox One, so we could be playing absolutely anything just for fun. It might be Let's Plays or similar. I'm never going to argue debates in the chat as to the cards that I've not picked when I've been told to. One day, Hammer of Justice shall be picked in a Paladin, I swear to you. So that is our schedule. Thank you very much for tuning into the Hearthstone half hour. We always appreciate feedback. I appreciate feedback. So if you hated it, just comment and let us know what we could do better. If you loved it, if you could share it with everyone, that'd be brilliant. Keeps me going, helps me keep running this. So whether you liked it or whether you loathed it, just let us know. We just need feedback. I would love feedback. What we could do better, what you think is good and you'd like to see more of, or what you think wasn't so good and you think we could cut a bit off. Any criticism is good as long as it's constructive. As long as it helps me do stuff better, I don't care whether you love it or whether you hate it. Just let me know what I can do better. So it's all good. Just a quick sign off as always. My wiser half has joked at me at how long this quick sign off is, but I'll do it quick. If you are tuned in live and you would like to see more, youtube.com/FailCraft Casts. That's the YouTube channel. Subscribe, comment, share, let us know. Love to hear from you. And that's where you can find the archive with a bunch of other games too, besides Hearthstone. But all the Hearthstone half hour is there. Twitter, if we're not on streaming UK time in the evening, we are twitter.com/FailCraft Casts. You can find us there. Please do tweet. Love to hear from you. If you are seeing this in YouTube, in the archives, or on the website, and you'd like to tune in live, then 7:30, 7 to 7:30, 7 till 8 it can be. I try and keep it as regular as possible, but it revolves around work and other things that I've got going on. So 7 to 8 p.m. GMT. So if you're over on the East Coast, 8 hours, the West Coast, 8 hours behind in the US, that's probably going to be 11 till 12ish. If you're West Coast, I don't know now. East Coast, sorry, I don't know, I'm getting my coasts mixed up, I've just come back from LA, but that is twitch.tv/FailCraftCast. Subscribe there, you'll get an email when we're going live, but I try and tweet half an hour to an hour before when the stream is going to go live, so if you're on Twitter you can see when we're going to go live anyway. Try and be live 4 to 5 nights a week, so if you like your Twitch, join us there. And last but not least, the website is failcraft.org. Not only do we post our videos up there afterwards, we try and do some more written analysis, we write a few blog articles around it. If you can't watch a video for some reason, if you're at work, if you're chilling out with an iPad or similar, then why not read a few blogs and articles and other pieces and such that we do. We'll have some E3 write-ups there as well for a few other games and our general experience, photos and similar such things. And then last but not least, on the website we store things that don't live so well on a video, so things like just new player links, if you're new, just a whole bunch of learning resources, good links we like, websites we like, just a nice little bunch of stuff that you can go and enjoy there. It might be useful to you for a variety of games, Hearthstone or otherwise. So that is the end of tonight's Hearthstone half hour. My quick sign off probably took less time than usual. Thank you so much for tuning in, whether you're watching this on an archive or on YouTube, whether you're on Twitch. It's just brilliant. Really love it when people watch my stuff. So from me to you, thank you, and hopefully see you tomorrow night when we'll be right back